Paul Wight is threatening to return to the wrestling ring once again. So the last time we saw the former Big Show in an AEW ring, his knee was... You remember this. His leg was... Like,
yep.
Oh, have you ever seen a leg like... I've seen it on Kevin Nash. Is it just a giant's disease kind of thing with legs and weight pressing down for so many years?
Could be. Or the knee just goes out. And he can get it fixed, and then it can go out again.
It's horrendous looking, if nothing else. So basically his knee's bowing and collapsing from under him, and he could barely move. I mean, I remember when the camera zoomed in on him, and he just almost like he was in a hall of mirrors. Just like warped. Anyway, now some 8 months after knee replacement surgery and a lot of gym work, he has said he wants to return to wrestling. So, when asked if he's going to make a return, the quote was, "God, I hope so. Because Tony Khan paid me I have to edit the swearing out, lots of money to get in the ring, and so far I haven't done anything," Wight responded. "That's why I really haven't been doing a lot of things in AEW, because being the awesome boss that Tony Khan is, he's given me the time to basically get my stuff straight and get ready for it. Believe me, there's an unbelievable amount of pressure on myself to get this done and get this in a way where the fans are appreciative of seeing me compete again, and not like an, oh, that's sad, shoot him, put him out of his misery like old Yeller, take me out the back and put me down. I don't want to get put down yet. I kind of want to go out like Sting did. Have a nice little run, have some great matches, work with some of the amazing young talent we have in AEW, and then slide out." We'll get to the second thing in a minute. But Paul Wight, former Big Show, potentially coming back. Would you be excited to see it? Because honestly, I know I kept going about the knee, but I mean, that wasn't the greatest lasting impression you want to leave. So, I mean, I guess he wants to make a better one.
I like that guy a lot. But his if he's not, it's all of wrestling. He needs a story. And this last match deal may be it. I don't know, but he may have one good match left in him as a going away gift. And that's part of ego too. He wants to, he's mentioned he wanted to go out like Sting, but if they just put him on the card now, Big Show, well, he's been around so long, it's like the furniture. It's what's he going to do differently, or does he have an angle, or is he going to beat this guy up, or is he going to get even for what they've done to him? But they've done nothing to him yet. So I hope he gets what he wants. And he said that Tony has been very good to him and give him time to get his stuff together. How many matches has he had in AEW? He's been there 2 years.
2? Longer. I think he's been there like 3.5, maybe. Maybe I'm going crazy, but I thought he joined in 2021.
He's been paid for, say, 2 or 3 years and basically done nothing. How many matches has he had? Any?
I'm going to find that out for you. I'm just looking on Big Show's incredibly long Wikipedia page to tell you when he joined All Elite Wrestling. February 24th, 2021. He's been signed for 3.5 years.
Well, again, unless they do something to him, and I don't know what it takes for Tony to understand that this is a soap opera. You got to tell a story, and the stories have to go to the next week. You do a little more to tweak that, and then to the next week, and it keeps going. It keeps rolling. It never stops. You look at WWE for the last 2 years, they got it rolling, and then they just added underneath. So I was watching a SmackDown 2 weeks ago, and every segment had a story. Every segment had a story. Now, if you look back at the way territories used to be, see, somebody asked me one time, why did you guys do so many angles in Memphis? Well, we had to get people to come. I mean, we only had 6 or 8 towns we can make money in. So unless you intrigued those people in those towns, you didn't make any money. So, but here they got all these multi-million and billion-dollar outfits and paying these guys all this money, but yet they don't understand the basic tenet of how to make wrestling draw, and that's to tell the story. I don't know. I don't know. Tony might be good at spending money, but I don't think he's good at damn booking TV.
Tell me about Big Show. How many matches do you think he's had for AEW in 3.5 years?
I'd say 10.
7.
Well, close.
And one of them was on Jericho's boat, so that doesn't even count as an AEW show. So 6, really, for strict AEW shows.
Wait a minute. What else did he do?
Nothing. He just injured and hurt and immobile because, he's so huge and just his body's breaking down that he can barely do anything.
What, I've met Tony. Tony was very, very nice to me, and I like him. But what did he see that show could actually justify $1 million or whatever he paid him?
He's an ex-WWE guy. I think he was hired around the same time as Mark Henry, and they barely did anything with Mark Henry. They had him on Collision briefly, doing the Let's Get It On, or his version of it, and did bits and bats. Just, I don't know, mentoring young guys for a very, very high fee, and then his contract ran out and he elected not to re-sign and see you later.
So, okay, Mark Henry didn't sign a new contract.
No, he's left now. He left.
I understand that. But he left on his own, or did Tony finish him up?
No, he left on his own. The contract ran out.
What's he doing now? Nothing?
I don't know. He's not with a major wrestling company. I know that, so... I want to get to something else. A couple of more things about Big Show, Paul Wight, and then we'll end this show. Paul Wight also wants to bring back, and I don't know if you ever saw The Waterboy with Adam Sandler.
I never saw that movie.
Okay, well, it's an Adam Sandler movie.
But I read about this. He was something like that in WWE, right?
No, this was right.
No?
This was like a 1-minute character at the beginning of The Waterboy, where Paul Wight, this is when he was still with WCW, and he's Captain Insano. He's wearing like a leotard with like the United States flag kind of thing. Anyway, so Paul Wight wants to bring the Captain Insano character back. He very briefly portrayed a 1-minute thing, anyway, to AEW. So the quote is, Captain Insano was a pretty cool gift. Tony Khan worked it out, got the intellectual property rights for me. So we've been waiting to pull the trigger on that, Wight said. Just to be honest, a lot of it's been my fault having surgeries and stuff like that, so it's about me getting into the gym, training, getting ready to where I'm feeling comfortable. Because it's basically a one-shot run. I can't pull the trigger on this half-arsed and go out and fail. When I pull the trigger on Captain Insano, it's got to be 100% run until the wheels fall. Here's the thing. It was like a 1-minute comedy joke thing at the beginning of a film from 97 or 98, whenever it came out. And I don't know why he's really desperate to bring it back 26 years later like it's a massive deal.
Well, I have nothing to say to that. I never even heard anything about it.
Google it.
I'll go and check
it's on
it out
YouTube.
now.
The entirety of it is on YouTube. We'll leave that there. Okay, I'm going to ask you one more thing. And actually, Stevie Richards brought this up on our show that'll be on the same day as this one. Has any major name wrestler in the modern era been done as dirty as Big Show Paul Wight, the Giant? Because, man, I just think he was really good in WCW. They could have used him better. And then he goes over to the WWF, and they seem to give up on him in 2 weeks. He should have been Andre the Giant Part 2. He was far more talented than Andre. He was maybe even bigger. He could have been the special attraction to rival Andre for the new millennium. And they just did him dirty with that booking for years.
Okay, his machinery that he had around him, he just had one company. Andre had all the companies. This was back in the territorial days, and he could go in there and make a big splash for 2 weeks, and he could hit all the big towns. Like if he went to Charlotte or Mid-Atlantic, and they'd wind him up in Greensboro, the big show on Saturday night, and they'd have him in Charlotte, and they would have him in Roanoke, and they'd have him in Asheville and Greenville and all those towns. They had enough towns where he can make the major towns, and then he's gone. But if they did that in WWE, yeah, he'd make Philadelphia and and the Garden in Boston and Pittsburgh and Philadelphia and Baltimore. But then, is he going back there the week after? See, his world kind of dwindled on him. His world got smaller. Not his fault, not Tony's fault. That's just the way it is. But I think they could have taken him around one time around the loop, and that makes all their towns. And the second time around, he was done. He was finished, I think.
Because, I mean, Big Show was on WWF TV for 2 weeks and Steve Austin beat him clean. It just seems...
well, that's I don't see that.
Yeah, it was just ridiculous. Anyway,
I mean, to tell me that they didn't have somebody else for Steve Austin to beat. I know they were building him. I got that. But it's almost like, how'd he beat him?
I can't remember if it was like a Luther's press or whatever, but he pinned him.
Clean?
I think it was clean. I mean, this is 99. I can't remember. Whether it was clean or not, he still pinned the Giant in 2 weeks flat. You know, he debuted like an idiot, and he did interference, and it backfired, and Steve Austin won. Anyway, the point is that there's one thing to be overexposed, and I think that's what you're saying with Andre the Giant. You can't have him on TV every single week. WWF would have him on more and more in the late 80s, but only sparingly, and he very, very rarely wrestle on free TV. But with Big Show, not only did they have him on free TV every single week, wrestling and being overexposed and just for decades, but then, you know, there's also turning heel and babyface 40 times in his career, dressing him up like Baby New Year's, putting him in silly skits every single week. I mean, they just seem to... I don't know why they seem to go out of their way to make him as unspecial as possible, and he deserves so much more.
If you want to make something out of somebody, you just got to look back and take the cues from history. How many times did you ever see Hulk Hogan on free TV? Other than an interview?
On, not including Saturday night's main event, in his 84 to 93 run, I think I checked it out, and it was either 2 or 3 times he wrestled a match in 9 years.
How many times did you see Dusty on free TV other than a videotape of a match?
I don't know. That's a good question.
Not much. Because if you're going to make them special, you got to, for them to actually get up, leave their house, go down to the local arena and buy a ticket, you cannot overexpose the people that you want them to buy a ticket to see. I mean, the old days that when I came along, we'd be on TV every week, but it was still a novelty back in those days. So,
well, how did you retain your aura then? How did you retain your aura when you were on TV every single week?
You kept doing it. I mean, you got into something, and it was just, and you convinced the people that you want to halfway kill somebody, or somebody wants to try to halfway kill you. And I think with me that they kind of bought into that I was kind of serious in what I was doing. So, and my stuff looked kind of believable. And the matches I had with Lawler and the matches I had with Dundee and Randy Savage, I mean, hell, I believed them. Because especially with Savage, he just beat the crap out of you. So when I left, if I was believing it, you know, the fans were believing it. So, and I believe in giving people, when they bought a ticket, giving their money's worth. And I've said this before on this show, that an old timer told me, he said, I don't give a crap if there's 10,000 people out there or 10 people. They still bought a ticket. So you're obligated to them to give them the best performance or show that you can give them. Because 9,990 other people decided not to come, those 10 people did. So give them the best show you can, which is really good advice, really.
It's funny how Hulk Hogan, it's an old story, and I think I might have said this on the show before, or at least told you, is that back in WCW there was a big show, Hulk Hogan versus Kevin Nash, and they locked up, and Kevin Nash was like a bit eager and he like locked up really stiff. Let's say 15,000 people or 20,000 people in the arena, and then Hulk Hogan whispered into Kevin Nash's ear, "Easy, brother, we've already got their money."
Yeah, that's an old saying anyway. Like Austin Idol, he was the one. Oh, you couldn't touch him. I mean, he didn't like to work with guys that was a little bit. I was a little bit not stealth, but the word is snug. You lock up with Austin Idol and you go, "Oh, hey, baby, lighten up, man." And I'd have to laugh at him. I'd say, "Oh, I'm sorry. But
and you were tagging with him.
Huh?
You were tagging with him. You probably tagged him too hard, and
yeah. Oh yeah, he would say, "Oh, two-step, brother, please," and I'd laugh at him.
Just one more thought on Big Show, Paul Wight, is he sort of came a bit too early in the sense that WWF would, just running everybody into the ground, WWE as well for many, many years, and the person who sort of broke that mold, maybe apart from Shawn Michaels, who did a part-time return in 2002, but Brock Lesnar, he's the most well-publicized person who would just turn up for a bit, get paid obscene amounts of money, not overstay his welcome, then disappear. And now there's more people doing it and working on, a part-time basis now. It's like Roman Reigns. It's a more famous example. So it's a sort of shame that Big Show couldn't do the same thing, where he would turn up for a short program, be, like in the old days with Andre, he would be Dusty Rhodes' tag team partner to smite the evil enemies and that kind of thing, and then disappear again until he's next needed. And I thought that would have been, I'm sure that would have been his the role here.
That would have been a lot better, but as I said, the machinery wasn't there for him to do that, or the mindset wasn't there to envision him in that role. So, but he was, I hope he can go out the way he wants to go out. The only thing I found out, Big Show, he is a hell of a card player. On those European trips we made, I'd play cards. He'd beat my butt. I'd be embarrassed. I'd quit playing. So I'm not playing you no more.
What game are you playing? What game were you playing?
I forgot.
Well, no wonder you didn't beat him. You can't remember the rules.
No, well, I've forgotten the game now. It's Gin Rummy. Yeah. Just you played that, right?
Oh, yeah.
And you knock and all this kind of stuff. He'd just kill me, and I'd knock, and he'd be underneath me. And finally, and he would just say, he'd laugh and look at me. He said, "You're the total shit." I said, "Oh, well, I'm not a card player. That's why I don't go to casinos, because I've never won any money there."
See, you have the mustache of someone who would be a great card player.
Well, I'm not.
You've even got, like, okay, right, I'm sorry, this is Red Dead Redemption. It's a game.
What?
It doesn't matter. It's a game. It's a cowboy game from years ago. Anyway, you could get, like, a little outfit for your character, and one of the cowboy hats is called like the Cheetah's outfit cowboy hat, and it's the exact same one that you used to wear, the black tall one with the wide brim kind of thing. One. Yeah, and I
love that hat.
Yeah, and I looked at that and thought, that's the Cheetah's. You must be a really good card player because you had a card player's hat.
Well, I'm not. I'm really not. So if I had an earpiece, somebody telling me what to do, I could probably do it. But